I think so. We'll go see what's on.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Earhart.
Here.
Tammy Blank.
Here.
Cindy Brode.
She was here.
She just
She just joined.
Julia Tamarki Kukrow.
Present.
Mr. Harley.
Here.
Mr. Carr.
Present.
Dr. Ray.
Here.
Dr. Schaefer.
Here.
Mr. Schroed.
Here.
Cindy Brode.
Present.
Okay, full house, good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. I do not have a board president's message. And at this point, we do not have any public comment.
No, sir.
Okay, is no SGA member. Okay, Mike, you're up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple quick things that we sent an email to our families. Number one, there was a community service fair we held at IHS. As you know, we require community service hours as part of their graduation requirements. And Wade and Doug deserve a lot of credit for bringing a lot of outside agencies in to meet our kids, connect with their kids, and afford them opportunity to build relationships. Second thing, I want to recognize the junior high Stuco, which is our student government here at junior high. They won the United Way Award for doing great things. It's called the Great Things Award, and they are recognized at their annual breakfast, which was last Friday, which was really nice to see. The kids were really excited. Talked to a lot of families and parents. They also were excited. So I only bring this up, one, to not only recognize them, but two, their actions met their words. What I mean by that is a couple months ago, we talked about some issues and challenges at the middle school here. These kids are trying to really step up and give back to their community. So quite proud of the work they did. We also have a young man you met before, Avery. His summer seat, it won first place at the Invention Convention. And it also he won the People's Choice Award. We have a phone call next week or this week with him with KDKA. They're going to do a nice radio interview with him and his family and to recognize him for what he did there. We also have on March 9th, Thursday, dual enrollment event at the high school between us and IEP that Wade and Doug have communicated to our families to see if they can sign up. And then lastly, what I did was I included just a little blurb about the Ike update. That last month we approved the schematic design for Ike, and now we're moving forward with the design and development phase, and we're extremely excited about the progress we're making. So we think it's important to let the public know the great work the board's done, where we're at. I included some of the photos that the firm sent us. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Ron, solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing much to report other than I would just note now that we did speak in executive session about the acting superintendent contract, which shows up as an agenda item for tonight's approval. And we also spoke about the Joel litigation, and that also shows up as a settlement proposal. Indiana will look to get about $15,000, a little shy of $15,000 through that settlement. But that's all, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Okay. No presentations. We're down to approval of the minutes in the agenda.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on either the minutes or the agenda? Nothing heard?
Josh Woodison, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nothing heard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Josh, we'll take care of you here a little bit later. Okay? Board reports. Tomorrow is our February meeting for the Indiana County Technology Center. So I'll have a report at our meeting on the 13th. Sue, anything happening at Aaron?
February meeting was canceled, so we're meeting in March.
Okay, very good. And Tammy?
No outreach committee meetings since our last thing.
Okay. Tom, we're down to you now.
No report. So frustrating to my team motions. Any objection to taking them as consent? I move that 5.2 student discipline agreements and 5.3 dual credit grant be approved as written.
Second.
Moved in second. Mike, would you like to talk about this dual enrollment or dual credit grant.
Yes, we apologize for the short notice and the short request, but in our defense, we just got notified last week. The state is offering $6.5 million throughout the whole entire Commonwealth with a maximum award up to $75,000 for each school to submit a grant for expansion of dual enrollment and dual credit opportunities. So we looked at it this afternoon. As you know, last week I asked you for permission to apply, submit our name to apply with intent to apply. The grant opened up today. We looked at the grant. We feel we're in a good spot. We can complete this grant within probably a day. It wasn't too difficult, but we just need permission according to our policy to go ahead and apply for it. So again, max award $75,000, and what we're trying to do is really 2 or 3 things. Number one, money for more opportunities for kids to take these dual enrollment courses without having to put that expense on the families. 2, time for teachers to align and develop and improve the rigor of their curriculum to meet those college expectations. And then 3, we're going to look at see how we can do more outreach, more communication regarding dual enrollment opportunities that exist. We'll make sure you get a full copy of the grant when it's done, but we looked at it today. It's relatively brief. We feel in a good spot that we can get this done, turn around pretty quick.
How many state districts do you think have to?
Now, under law, every school district has to have an agreement with a post-secondary partner. So everyone will have that agreement. How many send kids?
Actually have a program.
Yeah, it'll differ. Like one thing we don't do that we should do, and I know Rob and I talked about it, but I hope we'll get to it, is the associate degree in high school program. We increased the number of a la cartes, but we really need to get to that. So I think you're seeing that now being a real viable opportunity for all school districts. And Madam Vice President, where I think we're going to have a decision here in the next couple of years is the old debate versus AP versus dual enrollment is going to come up again. And I think there's a place where they can both exist. But if you're looking about giving kids affordable opportunities and helping them, provide them hope and opportunity, dual enrollment's the way to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or discussion on dual enrollment credit grant? All those in favor of voting in the affirmative for 5.2 and 5.3, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion's carried. Cinda, your turn.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. I cannot get a printed copy of the agenda, so it's going to be a little bit disjointed here. I would like to take all of well, first of all, there's no committee meeting report. We've already, we have not met again since the last meeting. And I would like to take the rest of the things as consent items. So 6.2, resignation of superintendent. We've talked about that multiple times. 6.3, appointment of Mr. Rob Heinrich as the acting superintendent. We've also talked about that multiple times. Resignation of support staff. Letter of resignation from Francisca Walter, a paraeducator. And a letter of registration from Michael Yerke, a custodian. The Jewel settlement offer, that we accept the offer from the class action suit from Jewel Labs. An employment of a custodian, and here I need Mike's help, Jared's help, somebody, I don't have the names. An employment of a custodian who would be, can you supply a name?
Yes, would be Joe Mimis, M-I-M-I-S.
Okay,
He'll-
and
he'll be-
the, go ahead.
Yep, he'll be the custodian, and whenever you're ready for 6.7, I have a name for you for that as well. Miss-
Yes,
send
the employment of a computer technician who will be,
Kyle Heckert, Heckert, and a salary of $34,970.
okay, and for Josh and Pat, the media people, those names will be made available for you after the meeting. So does anybody have any objection to taking those all as consent? No, then could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on 6.2 through 6.7?
I just want to say that I'm sorry, Mike, you want to go, but we live in interesting times, so. I wish you all the best.
So along those lines, I called him up this morning at 9 o'clock and said, I have a copy of a letter here rescinding your resignation. It's not too late.
True story.
He hung up on me.
No, I did not hang up.
I did stretch that a little bit.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you for 5 amazing years with wonderful people. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I will miss you. And thank you for making me a better human being, a better father, a better educator, a better person. Seriously, you helped mature me and grow me more than you'll ever know.
As Tammy said, it was interesting times, Mike. It was a great ride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And also to Ralph.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Mike publicly too for his leadership. I said when I was asked by the paper that he's the hands down the best administrator I've ever worked with.
It's the only one who's ever worked with, so don't go too far.
I was the other. For the record, I've worked for 8 different superintendents. And
You're
it's
hard on
not,
superintendent.
it's a lot of superintendents and it's not close. I mean, he's the best superintendent I've ever worked with and it really is not close. And beyond, being an inspiring and insightful leader, he's an even better friend. So I want to thank you publicly for the effect you've had on me as a person and in my career, obviously. And I want to thank all the board for putting your trust and faith in me to, keep the ship sailing in the same direction. So thank you all.
Mike, I don't think you're ever going to forget us.
No matter how many therapy sessions you go to.
Good, bad, or ugly.
And Rob, I have to say, interesting time for you too.
Yes, ma'am.
Walter,
Yes.
I do want the board to know the reason I wanted to take that all as consent, because if we took 6-2 by itself, I think it's a motion that would not have passed. So,
She's
it'd probably
accurate.
be
She's
close.
right.
It probably would be close, Cinda.
Oh, man.
Any other comments, questions, or discussion on 6-2 through 6-7?
Mr. President, I would just add for 6-3 that we do develop a contract with the acting superintendent, just so it highlights what the start dates may be. That's why the motion shows up as it does, to give the board some flexibility. But there is a contract that we would ask Mr. Heinrich to sign with the board. So I just want to state that. for the
Very
record.
good. Very good. Anything else? All those regrettably that approve these, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Terry, Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation.
Yeah, this should be pretty easy. No committee meeting report. And then I think Tony from Buckhart Horn is going to give a brief update on the Eisenhower project.
I am. I'm prepared to do that whenever the board says to start.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first, congratulations, Michael. I wish you the best as well. It's been a pleasure working with you for the short amount of time that we've had together. But I certainly wish you the best. In regard to the Eisenhower project, I wanted to start in the order of which they occur in our documentation. The first is civil engineering. I will tell you that we're moving forward. I understand that there has been some questions about our deliberations with the adjoining property owner. What I can tell you is that the building footprint as currently designed is smaller than it was in previous submissions. We have pulled the building back away from the property line, meaning that there is less impact to the neighbor. We're looking at whether or not there will in fact be any impact. I expect to have something to meet with them in the next couple of weeks. The building is more compact, meeting all the programmatic needs. We're on schedule. I'm not sure how in depth you wanted me to get here. I have received some comments based on the large scale plans and large scale areas that we sent to the board last week, I believe. I'm happy to answer any questions on those, albeit I believe that it's probably better to wait till you see the full submission. So yeah, we're on schedule. We're looking forward to making that submission. I'm not sure how much more of that information you want me to go into, but I'm happy to provide any information that you request right here.
Mr. Kern, Mr. Harley, so you know the emails we got, we did send the feedback to the architects, so just make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, we certainly didn't expect Tony to answer all those
Yes, sir.
emails in the next 24 hours.
Well, what I can tell you just about that is, you know, I understand that people are looking this for the first time, and there were some comments that I didn't understand fully. So it's probably best that we do have a meeting shortly after the submission, so that I can review those issues with whomever is making the comments in person. There are some code related topics that we have to cover. And there were some comments that I think are just perhaps somebody's misunderstanding where we are with the project.
Okay,
And Tony, one question that came up earlier this evening is an updated estimate going to be part of your design development submission on March 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it is still based in, we did not go out for a third-party estimate, if that's your follow-up question. It will be provided in-house based on the similar kinds of criteria that we've used in the schematic design.
Okay. And then Jared, when is our next building and grounds meeting? It's right after March 15th?
It would
Are
be
we-
March 20th.
Okay. And then you did set up a meeting for March 16th, I think?
We had emailed the entire board about that.
Yeah. So Tony, we did set up a meeting for immediately following your submission. So,
Well, that's the first I'm hearing about a March 16th date. I'll have to check to see that that's something I'm capable of doing. Perhaps I need to look at my calendar and see if I don't have other commitments in that time frame. But it'd be good to, get that invitation out to me as quickly as possible so that I can get it on my calendar.
Is this just buildings and grounds?
no, this would,
We will have a full submittal of the drawings, so anybody who would like to review the drawings in depth will be invited to that meeting.
yeah, this would be a committee of the whole.
Yeah, what day is March 16th?
It's a Thursday, and currently I have nothing on my calendar that I'm aware of for that day.
and it was going to be in the boardroom, I think, Jared, right?
Yes, sir.
And this was something scheduled during normal working hours, or is this a late afternoon, evening?
Oh, it's 9 a.m. Oh, I remember now, for 9 a.m. I won't be able to make that. Yeah, that's gonna be hard to.
That's all, that's hard to do.
Well, we need to keep moving those.
No, it's just, half the board's working at 9 a.m. and Tony has to come from Cleveland.
Cleveland.
I'm making that up, yes.
Cleveland, like far away.
I mean, I'm likely able to make it if there's green beer there.
Really, I know. No.
For the record, there will not be.
No Guinness either?
At least not during the official meeting.
Well, I think Walter, you do bring up a good point. I mean, and whether we do want to have that in the evening, it really doesn't matter to me.
We can do on Zoom. that
But
helps.
I think we should at least try to be a little more, I mean, this is kind of a big deal at this point. And if the submission of this document is maybe not, it may not be the final, but I think we need to be as accommodating to the board members as we can. And, even if it was an earlier evening meeting at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, that might still allow us that are still working a chance to get home from the office and then show up here.
It also give a chance for the public to come and see what we're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
If we do a 9 o'clock meeting, it's just gonna be the 10 of us.
It'll give us more time to look through it, at least a day instead of overnight.
Well, for you retired guys, that'll work. but yes, Terry, your point's well taken. But I think we really need to schedule this very late in the afternoon or early evening at best.
But you can't schedule it late in the afternoon and expect any public to show up.
Well, I'm talking 5:30, 6
Yeah,
o'clock.
5:30 is evening, that's good.
6 is better. Well, if he has to drive, Tony's the one that has to drive. I think we owe him some.
Yeah, I'd rather
Unless you
have
want
it
to
here
buy
in the
lunch
evening.
and we have a luncheon.
I mean, I'm happy to attend at whatever time you decide the board can make it. I'm doing my job, so any time of day. If I need to come out there on the 15th in the evening and stay over, I can do that.
Let's do 5:30.
Where would you stay?
5:30, Mike's bringing the pizza.
Penny.
5:30, okay with all the other board members?
I wouldn't
I think
have
somebody
around.
You don't get a cup.
I think somebody brings the hot sauce.
And
Fine with me, Walter.
Okay, Ron. Terry, you said you were good. Cindy, you good?
Yep.
And Jim, how about you?
I'll be good for an hour. I leave at 6:30.
Okay, then we'll make it 5:30. Okay?
And somebody will send out an email in bold print.
I guess the second part of the question is, I don't know, Jared, were we planning on having Tony attend that meeting, or
It'd be good.
Yeah, I think
everybody thinks it'd be good?
yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you mean the
Yeah.
meeting of the 16th, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, as I said in the past, the comments are, based on an individual's interpretation and understanding of what they're looking at, and I really do believe there's a great value in me or somebody like me, describing the presentation and explaining why some things are what they are. The guesswork creates a lot of comments that can be settled pretty quickly if you just hear what we're describing as why the building is what it is currently.
Okay. Does anybody else on the board have any questions for Tony at this time?
I can
Go ahead.
tell you that I'll have a response to back to Jared on the comments received to date. What is today? Tuesday. So
Monday.
today's Monday. Oh boy.
Bill,
By the end of the week, I'll have a written response to Jared on that.
That would be great and very much appreciated.
I just find the email questions hard to follow, and then you have to keep track of the emails. And I think that people should submit their questions to Jared or their comments and
That's
let
what we
him
did.
filter through them.
that's what
I
we
know,
did.
but the whole board, I don't want, I guess there's no other way to do it then. But
Okay.
it certainly makes it hard to follow and confusing when we're all jumping in.
So
That's my comment.
Jared submitted the questions then to Tony.
And you
And-
think it's important that we all see the questions?
Yeah, I like to see everybody's questions, Joy. It triggers, more thought and more ideas to look at and stuff.
When I get the answers back, I will certainly share that with the entire board.
Yeah.
Can we make a request to keep the list short? Like limit yourself to 3 things of major, rather than 25.
No, I already got 25 things.
I know.
So Julia, in this case, I would suggest that we defer to Terry and Tom and Jim, as the committee members there to kind of.
I'm aware that it's not my committee, but it's a committee of the whole now. So it just gets
It is.
hard when you are not retired, frankly, to follow all this stuff all the time. Not that the person who submitted them is retired.
Understand.
You wish upon a star.
All right. Well, anyway.
Thanks, Tony. Let's move on to 7.3.
Yep. Thanks, Tony.
Are you suggesting I can go?
Yes?
Yes.
You're welcome to stay, Tony.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll take that offer another time.
Okay.
Have a nice evening.
Yep,
Bye-bye.
All right, 7.3, that based on the recommendation of the district's attorney for the Eisenhower insurance claim proceedings, an additional $10,000 be approved for the contract with Robson Forensic Inc. for work related to Eisenhower insurance claim.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Julia, finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a lot of motions, and we also had a meeting tonight, which because of all these motions, we were still able to finish in 1 hour.
You're so good.
So our meeting tonight, the star of our meeting was Kimberly Dorchak and Jared from our outside auditor from Kotzen and Associates. I'm just going to go through, sort of give you a synopsis with Jared's help of every motion, and then I'd like to just vote as consent items unless anybody still wants. Just wanted to say that this little short sheet that Kim prepared is excellent. And we also have paper copies of the audit report. I know you have it electronically, but I prefer a book so I can take notes directly on the. It's worthwhile reading. It's hard to get a handle on how everything comes together unless you read it. At least read this. So this is a good. She goes over the key numbers as she sees, and they are revenues, expenses, where we are. But just because we have so many motions, I wanted to point out a couple of things that particularly impressed me. And that is, I'd like for the board to know and the taxpayers to know that in that last fiscal year, this is an audit of past year, that we were able to retire about almost $2.7 million in debt. I'm very proud of our team.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
So that our current outstanding balance on debt as of the end of this past fiscal year was $26,296,000. That's remarkable, particularly from when I started on the board, which has been 10 years ago, I think. So it's good news. This number does not include the $10 million that we borrowed July of 2022, because the fiscal year ends the 1st of.
It ends June 30th.
June 30th, yeah. So keep that in mind. The next page is the debt service as a percentage of total government fund expenditures for 17 local districts. We've specifically asked Ms. Dorchak for this report because it sort of gives us an idea of our leverage ratio. Are we too heavily borrowed, or aren't we? And we've actually improved since our last audit report. So on the middle of that page, you see a blue diamond that says 5.73%. So that is the percentage of total, the percentage of our total expenses that is actually debt related. Okay. And that includes, if I'm understanding correctly, that does include the PSERS funds, correct? Or is
Yes,
that
our
okay,
retirement
yes.
contributions.
And that ran us about, what was the number, Jared? 8-point-some million?
8.8, 8.9.
About, yeah. So it's a big expense paying for the retirement plan of the our retirees. It's all divided up by formula among the whole state, among all the counties. So we have been told by our PFM bond company, Jamie Doyle, she has told us that the benchmark that they use for bond ratings is 8%. So anything below 8%, you're considered not too leveraged. Now, we're well below 8%, and we came down. And I don't think that the 10 million that we borrowed this fiscal year would actually affect that ratio too much. So I think we're still really in a nice spot. Jared, is there anything else that you want to point out about this report that you think are the highlights? I really do think you ought to read it carefully because we've been doing real well.
I think, sorry.
The only thing I'll add very quickly is the audit report, the summary that was given to us that looks like this is really written essentially so that even a layman in finance terms can understand the gist of what's being said here. The thicker report that Julia is referring to is a little more dedicated to the accountants and the business manager and that sort of thing. So I'd highly encourage, any of the public to get a copy of this and take a look at it, because it does explain the gist of what the district did in pretty much layman's terms.
And both,
Would you agree with that?
yes, sir. And both versions are attached to the autumn finance agenda tonight. And then after the board's approval, I do post the full audit report out on the website as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good guide to get you into. So if you have a question on this, you go right into the audit report and you get the notes and everything. It's terrific. I also wanted to point out.
I'm sorry, Julia, I interrupted Jared.
So the only thing maybe Madam Vice President was going to touch on it was I think the food service is an important piece to look at, and the recovery we've made since COVID.
We really have, yeah, and we have that contract tonight on the motions. I also wanted to say on the capital project funds, you might see the capital projects in the second column. They don't paginate these numbers, so it's towards the beginning. At capital projects, $5.8 million. Actually, that does not reflect our refinancing of that, the new money. Actually, it wasn't a refinance, it was new, $10 million of new money. Correct?
The new money, yes.
So we've got closer to 9 something in that fund now, right? Yeah, 9 million roughly.
Well, it'll be close to 15 million in the capital projects.
In the capital.
Because the 10 million would go into capital projects.
Thank you.
Sitting there today would be
What
almost.
the 9 million is, no, I can't remember how I came up with
The 9 million is the total between that and capital reserve at June 30th.
Yeah, but I thought, okay, never mind. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to, the capital projects, because July would be the new fiscal year. Next, we talked about the air and general operating budget. Go ahead.
Julia, just before you do that, the other page on this report that I think is interesting to note, because this is really about the financial performance of the district, is the general fund budget versus actual. And in both revenues and expenditures, we had a positive variance. The revenues were up about 300,000 and the expenses were down by almost $1 million. So that's a reflection of the effectiveness and the efficiency of the administration in taking what we budgeted for and actually coming in with better numbers.
Yeah, I would say if you put this into an efficiency ratio, we'd be well under 50%. We're probably
So-
would be these numbers.
So I mean, I think these guys all need a star, I mean, being in school, we always give the
So-
students a
Toughest
star,
job in the
so,
district.
so yeah.
So we
Maybe a
did
gold
better
star.
than budget. Our revenues were better than budget and we underspent on our expenses.
Correct,
That's the nutshell.
just a performance metric there.
Yeah, I mean, we can go through this whole thing, but I think you just have to read it and knuckle down to it. It's.
No, but you asked for the highlights, and I think that's a critical highlight.
Now, Jared, you just wanted to go over briefly the air and operating budget, what you told us earlier. We've all had a chance to look at it. It was sent out.
Yeah, they're looking, just briefly a $91,000 increase in overall expenditures, which is about 2.7% to them, which I don't think is out of the question with everything else happening right now. But again, the 3 million, roughly 3 million that you as a board approve is just their general operating budget. It is actually probably a very small piece of what Aaron does, their overall budget, because it does not include special ed and all the grants that they get. But our portion of that, the $159,000 that they're asking for next year, is not an increase over the previous year. They actually have not asked for an increase for a good many years now. So I think as an administration, we support their budget.
Okay. Thank you. I think the committee, I think very much obviously suggests that we approve our audit report. That's 8.3. Then the auditor agreement, we're up for review of our fee rate. So Jared, you want to talk about that and tell us what it was this past year?
Yeah, the previous year, the 21-22 year that just they presented their audit on was the final year of their 3-year agreement. They're asking for another 3-year agreement. They're also part of that 3-year agreement asking for a slight increase from $19,000 to $20,000 for the first year and then $21,000 for the remaining 2 years. I can't tell you when the agreement went out the last time, COVID wasn't here and all the ESSER funding was not part of that. So they have seen a significant increase in the work that is needed to complete their audit report. So in my opinion, that is a fair increase for their time that they have to put in.
Yeah.
And the support that they provided us during, as part of all the ever-changing things happening in PD.
And this is a big job preparing this report. This isn't a simple thing. This is a depth and it's independent and it's essential that we have it. Also, I did want to say to the local taxpayers that although they paid for basically the whole district, the local taxpayers contributed about $27.5 million towards the in their real estate taxes, which is about 48% of our budget of our total revenues. So that's wonderful that we've been able to maintain our tax base at that level. And we haven't increased our real estate taxes for a long time. So this has been a nice report for us 5 years now, I think. The other thing then is listing of real estate taxes, our delinquency. Jerry.
Every year after we close out the real estate taxes in December, we submit the liens to the county, and what we are asking the board here to do is approve the liens that were submitted to the county. It's a slight increase over last year, but nothing out of our norm.
Yeah, when you look at it as percentage of our total revenues from 27 million, I mean, there's always room for improvement. Every little bit counts, so we work at that very hard. And then the last, second to the last is our food service increases. And Jared, is there anything you want to talk to us about with that?
No, I think we talked about it
Talked
during
about
audit
it.
and finance, so those are just.
And the food service management company agreement. We did have quite a debate on that of the 2 bids that we received. One was about $5,000 more, but there's just some differences that we're concerned about.
We actually received 3. They were
3,
both,
okay.
all 3 of them were very close in their numbers. And I think any one of them could have done a great job. I just think based on the committee's recommendation, at this point, we saw no reason to leave the current one that we work with, which is Chartwell's.
Yeah, but there were some excellent comments about what all that would entail. But one of the things that we want to compliment is Eleanor Bland and what a good job she's done for our district over the years. And how efficient she is and how attentive to the student needs.
Absolutely. She does a great job for us.
And piling on that, Julie, when we started, there was a deficit in that account. And that's been eliminated and running in the black now, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah, we took a couple steps back during COVID, which was absolutely reasonable, but now we are turning a profit, and hopefully we can put some of that profit towards Eisenhower here.
well, what our food service people did, all of them during COVID, was amazing. Put us up against anyone. It was just really a terrific effort, and I think we're forever grateful. And then finally, the YMCA donation, which I think is nice for the YMCA. Jared, do you want to say anything about that? This is used furniture, I believe.
Yeah, these are just a couple items that they're requesting that were part of the auction at Eisenhower that just didn't sell at the time. So they're happy to donate.
Out of an abundance of caution, I'm gonna ask you to take 8.8 separately so I can abstain.
Okay, so I'm going to move that I move that 8.2, Aaron, general operating budget, 8.3, the approval of our audit report, 8.4, the approval of our auditor agreement with Colson and CPA and Associates, our listing of delinquent real estate taxes by borough and township, 8.6, our food service prices for 23-24, and our food service management company is 8.7 with Chartwell's at an agreed to guaranteed profit of $209,944. And then 8.8 are YMCA
You're gonna hold
donations.
that one back.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah.
I am, gee, okay,
Yours will all.
ignore that. Okay.
Okay, so
Second.
Tom second. Okay, is there any questions, further discussion or comments on 8.2 through 8.7?
I'd like to point out that 8.7, the profit goes back into equipment and is turned back into food service equipment. It's not a profit that we go out to Coca-Cola.
Whatever extra monies go back into investing in the food service process.
We could deliver it to the taxpayers, but we don't, we put it back in the
You ovens, you.
Okay.
We reinvest it back in the business.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion's carried.
Okay, Tom wants 8.7 is food. I move that based on the recommendation.
8.8.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, it's, I like serious in front of a computer all day and I have computer file based on the recommendation of the Audit and Finance Committee, the following unused items from Eisenhower donated to the YMCA: 30 small chairs, a section or two of the bookcase in the library, a wooden art rack, 10 to 4 drawer file cabinets, and a long wooden section of shelving.
That word unused, unsold, should be unsold.
Unused and unsold.
No, unsold, it should be unsold, not unused. These are definitely used items.
Thank you, Tom. Unsold, but I did read it correctly.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I can't even read. I can't see it. I can't read. Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, questions, comments, or discussion on our YMCA donation? Nothing heard. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
I abstain.
And Tom abstains.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Or Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
You really are out of it. Okay, we're down to the closing. We had some, we don't have a discussion item, but I think Mike might have something that he'd like to just briefly talk to the board about.
Oh, yeah, March 14th, Governor Shapiro's office has reached out to us to ask for a sit-down conversation for coffee, so I'm going to engage in that. Anyone from the board's more than welcome.
He's coming here.
His Southwest director's coming here. So they've reached out to the district. They are, they've been watching us and what we're doing, and he'd just like to do a meet and greet, so we said yes.
Is the governor coming himself or just their director?
His
Why
Southwest
can't the
director.
governor come?
I don't know.
Why don't we
Like
invite
he's
the
busy or
governor?
Well, I could do that, yes, I'll do that, yes, I could do
When
that.
is
Yes, ma'am.
this gonna happen?
March 14th, at the Artist Hand at 2:30.
And this is the meeting before the governor.
2:30?
Yeah, it's important to advocate for public ed. Post-secondary too. So I'll be around. His office will be. Just trying to manage expectations, sir.
2:30, okay. All right, Mike, that's good news. That's good news. Okay. Item 9.2, the time is coming to sign up for the Aaron Annual Convention and Banquet. This year it'll be at Marion Center Area School District. And Anise has requested that any board member that's interested in going, notify her by close of business on March the 3rd, which would be, I believe, next Friday, Thursday or Friday.
This Friday.
This Friday.
Oh, is it this Friday?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, okay, so I guess we need to get on the ball there if we're gonna attend that event.
I believe we are up to host next year, so.
Oh,
Is
that's
that
gonna be
right?
cool.
How do we have it?
Oh,
Where are we gonna
We
have
will,
it?
Probably junior high.
we had it at the junior high the last time.
Korean chicken.
Yeah.
yeah, some Korean
That's right.
chicken,
That's
some
right.
Korean chicken and kimchi.
Get a couple
That's
of
right.
bowls.
You weren't there. We enjoyed ourselves. That was nice.
That'll be the last time we go to that event. Is there any public comment on agenda items for this evening? Nothing heard. Josh, was there anything you wanted to ask earlier? This would be the time when you raised your hand.
Josh wanted Mike to give a call.
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
He's broadcasting a basketball game or something right now.
That's fine. Okay, so we had some enclosures, conference reports. We did have an executive session that Ron covered for us earlier. And our next board meeting will be a regular meeting on March the 13th at 7 o'clock to discuss general purpose items. Our next committee meetings are the academic on March the 6th and policy and personnel on March the 13th, both at 5:30. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
Those opposed? We are adjourned. See you opposed.